Hey, Dr. Graham, I wanted to go ahead and do this in a video because I was getting a little bit tired of typing everything, so I thought a video would be a little bit more fun just to do and maybe for you to listen to too. So I have our textbook sitting up, propped up right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a video and walk through page 381. And talk about how I would do a guided reading with the book I've chosen. So first off would be selecting a text. I chose the Berenstain Bears collection, and it's specifically the Easter story. I thought it was very fitting since Easter was yesterday, and I planned to do a read-along, a read-aloud with this week, but I did see that we're not doing one of those, and so this was the book that I had chosen for that. It says on the back of the book that it's ages 4 through 7, which I figured out would be about, after flipping through the book, it would probably be about a first or second grade level. There are some words in here that, let's just say, if a student hadn't known much about the Bible or much about anything relating to Easter, they probably wouldn't know what those words were, and that those would need to be addressed. For kindergarten, it would be a little bit more difficult, I would say, for the concepts. But as for reading, I would probably say a first or second grade level. Let's see, so that was selecting the text. Introducing the text, I would start off by talking about, this is a part of the Berenstain Bears collection, something that, a type of book that I love and that I'll probably use a lot in my classroom. It's so fun to be able to read about the bears and brother and sister and then Honey Bear too. So that's super fun. It's also, we are going to dive a little bit deeper into the Easter story and figure out a little bit what that is about and why do people celebrate Easter, and how we can figure out what exactly it is and why people talk about it and what's the point of it. So that would be a great way to introduce the text that way. It's not too long, and so they could even flip through it. And the great thing about this book is there's actually stickers in it, and so the students would be able to pull some of the stickers. And then reading the text would be next. We would go ahead and have the students orally start reading the text, individually and silently, depending on what exactly we're doing with our reading guide. And have the students do that. It's a super cute little book. I loved it. I got it at Target for like $5 on clearance a couple weeks ago before all this pandemic started. So we would read through the text. There's a few little places in there that I've decided that I would probably stop and talk a little bit about, depending on the grade level. If it was like third grade, you could read it all the way through, but first or second, you'd probably, especially kindergarten, you would need to go ahead and slow it down and discuss a few things, especially some of the words that I'll talk about when I get to working with words in a second. But with discussing their text, students talk about their thinking. I would definitely guide them through some of their thoughts throughout the book. Part of the significance of genre study that it says on 381 is talking about guide the discussion to help students notice characteristics of the genre. And so this is where I would specifically talk about, like, well, what do you think about the bears? Like, would this actually happen? Would bears actually be talking and going to Sunday school and performing plays on Easter and stuff like that? No. Why do you think bears? Why do you think the author chose bears? Is there a significance? Why do you think that? And see what they have to say. And I'd be going for the fact of trying to get them to understand that they chose bears to kind of hold their attention throughout the book, because it always is fun to have an animal that is acting like a human. It's always cute to see that, and use their understanding to understand genre and stuff like that. So that would be something that they would describe as a fiction story. And then teaching for strategic actions. This would be pointing out aspects of genre. Students connect them to other texts that they have read or heard about. So that would I feel like those would kind of go together in this case. You could specifically talk about certain things throughout the book that are fiction and not real. And then you could also bring up the Bible and how that is actually a real text, and it is able to have true meaning behind it and stuff like that. Working with words is our next step, and so there's actually quite a few words through here that when you're flipping through that kids probably wouldn't understand if you're working with like a kindergarten level. First part, it's super cute. I'll just kind of show it to you. It may be backwards, but it says were even thinking about it, talking about Easter candy, on their way to Sunday school one fine spring morning. So that could be something that if you're talking to a kindergarten class about seasons, spring would be great. You could talk about the flowers that are blooming and the birds that are chirping, and the grass is green, the trees are green. What are they wearing? They're not wearing their coats, so it's not cold. You could discuss those few things, characteristics about that. A few other things, a few other words was countryside, traveled, scenery. Those were a couple other words. Jesus was able to perform miracles. Miracles would be a word that may be needed to talk about. Another part was another time he made a lame man walk. Lame might be a word that needed to be addressed. And then another part that I thought was really cool. So this is Jesus, obviously with a bear, and these would be considered like the Pharisees. And it's really awesome because it talks about Jesus sometimes made people angry. Many people found his teaching strange, and some doubted that he was the Son of God. Others worried about why he was called king. They were afraid that Jesus would become too powerful. Throughout the book, the whole story of Easter, it discusses how basically people were afraid of him. They were afraid that he would become too powerful. But why? Why is that? That's part of some of those strategic actions that you could take, or with discussing the text. Maybe previously, or if you're getting to the end of the book, you could talk about it then. But why did people feel that way? Why would you feel that way? Why would you get angry at somebody? Something like that. And that would kind of extend through, I don't know, I guess you could get to the part of jealousy with it. You could get through, you were jealous of their power. You were jealous. Why were you mad when your friend got the swing? Because you were jealous you didn't get it. You could kind of bring that up in there too. Some of those little bitty life lessons. And then the next part would be extended understanding of the text. That would be great for drawing. There are some great illustrations throughout this whole book. I'll get to my favorite one. So it's basically some bears performing the story of Jesus' crucifixion and part of Jesus' life. And of course, they don't actually have a cross on here, but they have a screen putting it on there, and you can see all the kids' little faces, looking at how horrified they are at the story, and how crazy it is, and how sad, and but at the same time, how amazed at the very end. So it would be a great story to teach your kids, and to, of course, wouldn't be able to do this in like a private school or a public school, but you could do it in private, or even when I teach Sunday school, this will help. But like extending understanding would be they could draw their own image of, well, what do you think this book is about? Can you draw it out for me? What did you get out of this book? Stuff like that. So for comprehending, it would just be the story of Jesus. But if they wanted to, draw a little bit more, then they definitely could, or write a little bit more, whatever they wanted to do. So this is my guided reading on the Berenstain Bears and the story of Easter. And I hope that you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.